Here's what's going down right now. You don't want to miss this.
You recently signed an historic economic partnership with Ukraine. And as you said, there was a few bumps along the way. Can you walk us through the role that the Treasury played and what is expected to come out of this agreement?
And let's walk backwards. That I was bemused, gratified to see that on Saturday, as I was coming out here, Friday, as I was coming out here, Washington Post lead headline was Russia now nervous after U.S.-Ukraine signed deal. And that I believed that this would happen in February. President Trump believed that it would happen in February. And this was President Trump's idea. He likes negotiating, as you know. A lot of people in this room probably know. And he likes creating negotiating leverage for himself. And the Ukraine investment partnership, the economic partnership, was his idea, and he believed that it would do several things. One, it would create more leverage for him with the Russian leadership when it was time to go to them. So the idea was start with Ukraine, sign a deal that shows that there is no daylight between the U.S. and the Ukrainian people. It would be a symbol to Ukrainian people that the U.S. is still there. It would be a symbol to a tired American public, skeptical of more financial commitments, that it was possible to have a shared prosperity with Ukraine. And then it would, in essence, be a tacit security guarantee because of the economic partnership. I went to, and just to give you the timeline, so he tasked me with drawing up the document, speaking with Ukrainians. I thought it was a good idea to actually go to Kyiv. For anyone who hasn't been, you fly to Poland, you take a 10-hour night train into Kyiv, and you do that to keep from getting shot down, and which is good. And everyone was saying, "Oh, like this isn't a good deal. This isn't a good deal." And I said, "Well, if it's not a good deal, why did the Russians bomb Kyiv for the first time?" So I went on February 10th. The Russians bombed Kyiv at 4 in the morning for an hour for the first time since November, because they knew the train arrived at 8. And so before I got there, so if we were pro-Russian and this was a terrible deal for the Ukrainians, why didn't the Russians want it signed? So then President Zelensky elected not to sign it that day. He elected not to sign it at the Munich Security Conference a few days later. There was a little incident at the White House some of you may have seen. President Trump called it great TV. And when the deal went south that day, and I actually think in terms of the final deal, and Mike, I'm sure everyone in this room has seen it, that sometimes the blow up, you end up with a better deal. So February 28th was the blow up in the Oval, and what was going to be signed that day was actually just a 4-page memorandum of understanding. After that blow up,
Hey, real quick, let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you're into this kind of content, hit that like and subscribe. It seriously helps me out a ton.
Treasury made the decision to try to make the blow up into an opportunity. And I instructed my team to go straight to writing the full agreement, which is 6 different agreements, varying lengths, but hundreds of pages. So we worked on that document. And then when there was the kind of recovery and trust between President Trump, President Zelensky, after the meeting at the Vatican, we signed the deal a few days later. And look, I think it's win-win. What it is not is one of these rapacious Chinese deals. Sign here, it's loan to own. You're going to default on the debt. We're going to own all your minerals, and that's life. This is economic partnership. They put in assets. We put in capital from the DFC, American best practices and know-how, and it's 50-50. It's equity, not debt. And some of our European partners were criticizing me at the G7, and I said, you know, guys,
This guy is
if you
explaining
want
how
to
the US
trade,
just
if you want to
signed
do
a
a debt
big
for equity
economic
swap,
deal with Ukraine.
why don't you write off your
there was
Ukraine
a whole
debt,
lot of
and
drama
we'll let
behind
you into our
it.
partnership.
Apparently, it was Trump's idea.
No one's called
and
me
he
yet.
wanted to use it as leverage with Russia. Sounds like classic Trump, always playing some kind of negotiating chess game. He talks about taking a 10-hour train ride into Kyiv, dodging missiles like it's an action movie, just to show how serious the US was about backing Ukraine. Then the Russians bomb Kyiv that same day? That part's wild. Like, if Russia hates the deal that much, maybe it is a power move. Zelensky didn't sign right away, and there was a blow-up in the White House, which Trump apparently called great TV. Honestly, that sounds exactly like something he'd say. But after some high-level meetings, including one at the Vatican, because why not, they finally signed the real deal. And he made it clear, this isn't one of those shady China-style deals where you loan money and take over assets. This is supposed to be a fair 50-50 partnership. US brings the money and know-how. Ukraine brings the assets. No one's trying to own the other. Also, he threw a little shade at Europe, like, hey, if you care so much, forgive Ukraine's debt and join us.